Eli Tomac doesn't like this, but we think a lot of guys will. This is the GYTR hydraulic clutch for the YZ450F and FX. We're gonna install it right now on our FX. Check it out.
Hydraulic clutch in these rocky trails. Feels really good.
Okay, I opened this a little bit and then I stopped because I was realizing it'd be cool to do like an unboxing. So here's some instructions I'm gonna need to get on those instructions. This is some little bits that come in this bag. You got a bunch of Brembo information. This packing's nice because you just add water to this packing and it melts away. You remember those? Okay, so you get a new hydraulic clutch line, of course. This is interesting. You get a different rod, actuator rod, which goes through the engine, so it has to be a different length because of the hydraulic clutch. We'll compare it to the other one and see if it's longer or shorter. Slave. Oop. We have to build the slave. That's what these parts must be for right here. Okay. And this would be the master. Okay, that looks like it. So the Brembo is just like on a KTM model. It's a 9 master cylinder right here, so it's a 9 size piston. Most 450s and 500s on the KTM brand bikes run a 10. So this is going to have a little lighter pull. This is a 9 is what comes on a 350 and 250 models for most of those. We like the 9s on the trail bikes, and we even run them on our dual sports, our 500s, because on the trail bikes it's too much with a 10. So this might be a good option for this bike, so we'll find out. So we've got some good instructions. We've got this push rod, everything laid out here. We're going to get to reading these and to get going with this install. Okay, so I've read through the instructions a couple times, feel pretty good about it. I've never seen it done. It sounds pretty basic, so we're going to start by taking off the clutch system and we're going to route this the same exact way. So that'll be the first thing to kind of get started on. We're going to go through it right now. Okay, so I'm going to back off the clutch. I'm going to go get this adjuster all the way loose so that I can pop the cable off really easy. Pop out like that. And at this point, I like to keep everything with the perch for when I store the perch. Just like that. I'm gonna take this off for right now. Okay, so we've got our perch set aside. We're gonna get the number plate out of the way. Again, this is probably something you wouldn't have to maybe do, but it's just easier. I'm gonna loosen this up so that we have room to work with up here. Also, this tie right here is real tight. So now we have room to work with when we get up here. If I had to, might take the seat off. We'll see if we have to take the seat off or not. It wouldn't be a big deal to have this panel all the way off. I'm going to count the number of zip ties, but it looks like a few. So that's 2 cut right now. Zip ties, we're going to follow it down to here. Here's 3. So 3 zip ties holding that on. So we're removing the chain guard here. We already had this off from when we did our front sprocket video. Now we're going to remove this holder, this bracket that holds the cable. So we've removed the guide, that held on the cable. And now we just leave these wire clamps that hold on our gear position sensor right down here. We're going to leave that just sitting there just like that. So now we're going to remove this setup for the cable clutch arm right here. So I think this entire piece we're not going to be using. And then this arm we know has to come out based on the instructions. It looks like there's a washer right here that's staying there where it should. That washer stays there from what I understand when I read the instructions. Old rod with the cable clutch, new rod is this much shorter right here. So we just took our cap screws out. I also, when I bleed these, I like to have this rubber boot off so that when or if we spill any fluid, it doesn't get all behind this boot. We can put the boot back on when we're done. So we're going to get this up here on the bar. Has an arrow for front ways. That's usually a decent gauge for a good starting point. Maybe it could be a little bit that way. And it looks like this switch can run kind of either place. I'm gonna leave it on top right there. I'm gonna snug this up a little bit. We'll do final positioning sitting on the bike. Okay, so now I got my cable. I'm just gonna start it on the top here. Get this going. Just gonna get it all finger tight right now while I route it and make sure everything's happy. Okay, so I'm gonna tuck it back here where the cable one was. It's gonna run right along that same path. So an important step is this rod has a completely flat side and a side with a little tiny dimple, they call it. So the non-dimple side, the flat side, should be facing out. And I think we had it backwards of that the first time we put it in. So we're gonna drop that in. So this is the O-ring for the slave right here. We're supposed to get this on right now. Here's the bleeder. We'll just put that on kind of hand tight. Right here, we have our banjo bolt. So we're not going to put the O-rings on yet. From what I read in the instructions, just drop it in here, and we're going to place it like this, and it can drop over our rod, and we can kind of position where this thing's going to sit. Okay, we're supposed to just get this like halfway on right now before we position the hydraulic line. Okay, we've got a washer on each side, and I had to kind of pull the line. My hand's blocking it a lot, but here's how we're looking right here. I'm gonna get there and tighten it with my hand, and I'm holding the banjo, the fitting, and this thing's supposed to be 4 millimeters away from the ignition case in this photo right here. So I don't think they want you resting against here. I think mainly because if you had to take the ignition cover off, you wouldn't have any room. I've got something in here that's around 4 millimeters thick or so, and I'm going to tighten this, and that's going to keep this from pushing in towards the case. So that seems about how they want it to sit, and that would allow you to be able to pull the cover off and it's sitting out. Okay, so we're tight on our banjo. Now we're going to pull the slave off and build it. I'm not totally sure why we couldn't have done that at the beginning, but we're following the rules here, team. First thing we're going to do is put a little bit of brake fluid on our piston here. And then I'm going to put the O-rings on, just like that, one at a time. I didn't have to stretch it over the other side. And just get a little bit on this surface right here, just like that. And in here, I'm going to do the same thing, kind of fill it up a little bit. Rub some right around there. We don't want to forget our spring. And they give you the spring rides on this little area right here. Just like that. So that feels pretty good. Okay. Now we're ready to put it on for real. Okay, now we're going to snug here. You can torque these to 10 Newton meters or 7.4 foot-pounds. So now we can tighten up here, which is an 11 millimeter, the most popular wrench in my toolbox. Just good and snug. And this thing, I was noticing this line turns in here, so that's going to allow it to find its good home so it's not out of shape down there. Chain guard engaged. I see the marks here from the past zip tie, so I'm going to go right to that same spot with all three of these guys right in here like that. Remember when you cut zip ties to use the flush cuts so you're not cutting your hand later at another time. And then I like to kind of just tuck this ugly head out of the way. I'll tuck it back here so it's out of the way. Doing my second one right here. Third one, I see our mark here from before, right in here. Radiator bolts engaged. We like these, there's a plug back here in a rubber boot that we kind of got pushed in between here. It seems like it's happiest best right there. Right there. Okay, Spencer found our little plastic piece in the frame that you can actually run a zip tie through. That gets it kind of held up really nicely. And again, with the flush cuts for our last zip tie. So we're gonna fill this up a little bit. Use good hydraulic, like brake fluid. We're gonna bleed this first before we do our final bar position of everything. I'd like to just get it going a little bit. And then we're gonna set up our vacuum bleeder as well. Okay, we got fluid coming out now, which is good. We're gonna do it like this for just a minute or so. Whoa, yeah.
Yeah.
So that has more to do with the spring down in the clutch.
Down in clutch.
Yeah, I definitely don't think we could run a 10.
Nope.
Okay, I was wondering about that. That was our biggest worry was, could this bike really need a 10?
It's pretty heavy.
Okay, hold it in. Let's do one more. Yeah. Go. Fling, keep flinging it. Any bubbles? We're looking good. That's as simple as it is. I'm good and tight. I'm gonna contact clean off all the brake fluid around here, and then I can put our cap on down here. And it's got a little rubber piece in it that can go around just like that. So I like to have a dab of grease. You're like, that's way more than a dab. Yeah, it is. Okay, so then I can just grab some off of here, put it on the threads and the convex part of the bolt there, this little area right there. Okay, so we're dropping her on and it's going to overflow a bit. This system can be topped off. The only downside, it makes a little mess when you tighten it up. But with grease on there, we never will have an issue with stock bolts in here. It's a 20 Torx if you're not familiar with that, if you don't have one around. If you're a non-KTM guy, good and snug there, good and snug there. Wipe it off. Again with the contact cleaner. Okay, so we have this extra cool zip tie deal from Yamaha on here. And go back on now that we've kind of got things positioned pretty good. Now I'm going to hop on and position it how I would like it. Okay, so brake lever's still pretty good. We haven't messed with that today. So we can use that as our gauge. I think I want to go this way a little bit. And they do have an adjustment knob here. Watch this knob. See how it's moving the lever in? You can move it out like that. So that's a really nice feature with the Brembo setup. So I'm thinking right in there. We'll try that to get going. Okay, we were all positioned, and then I realized, hey, I should put on my Works connection piece while I'm here. They make a rotating bar mount, and the advantage of the Works connection piece is it has some plastic on the inside, so it's more likely to move a little bit on a crash or a fall over. I'm tightening this up with a JIS screwdriver, the Tusk one, which is really good. I like to have these bolts always going from this side. I'm not quite sure why they aren't. So anyway, that's tight. We got a number plate back on. I did that. I hadn't decided. I think the stock clutch cable, brake, throttle, other. So clutch cable must be an other. So it's staying in this area right here. So it's fine. It stays in there really nice. Okay, so the Vacula definitely made that job a lot easier. In our links on our Google Doc and our Amazon links, there are versions that are much cheaper than this one that we have used with no problem, like $85 for a good pneumatic brake bleeder. Helps a ton. If you're working on bikes a lot, if you should be bleeding brakes often and flushing them, so I would suggest having a good one. We're not even fully warmed up yet. It feels pretty good. On a KTM bike, if we pull this in and just jam it in first, it'll usually die right there, unless it's been warmed up for 10 minutes or whatever, right? So it feels pretty good. Let's go try it out. Okay, so that clutch feels pretty good. Let's get out to our riding spot and see how it goes.
Way better than cable clutch. Yeah, it feels awesome.
Okay, got some laps in and some trail riding in with the clutch on. We love it. This entire bike has been fun. It's in our part 2 video of this bike, but with this standalone GYTR hydraulic clutch upgrade for you, around 300 bucks for the whole kit. Pretty impressed with it. I really like how I can just hold it right in here. It can hit my finger, no problems. Stalling even on the tight trail stuff, pretty happy with it. So really good improvement. I think if somebody's on the fence about it, I don't think you're going to go wrong with it. The only few guys who are serious clutch abusers, like say Tomac, or if you're really worried about starts, I've heard some guys say that they can get better starts with the clutch setup. Takes a little while to get used to how it modulates out at the start. Maybe it's all the way, you have to get further out for it to start to let go. So anyway, hopefully that helps you out, some tips on it. It wasn't too bad to install, as you guys saw, an hour. So I think it's worth the money if you're looking to make an improvement there in your clutch. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the other videos on this bike as well. We'll see you guys next time.